welcome you all to our webinar today. Our next slide is going to give you some information about how to ask questions today. Everyone is muted on the call, but you will have an opportunity to submit questions and comments. In the upper right-hand corner of your screen, on your control panel, you can minimize or maximize it by clicking the first circled item at the top. We'll be using the question log for questions and comments during the webinar. Type your feedback into the question log located at the bottom right of the screen and click Send. We will be monitoring your questions throughout the duration of the webinar, and we can also follow up after the webinar with questions that we're not able to answer during the time we have today. So let's get started, and I now introduce Connie Lindsay, National President of Girl Scouts of the USA.
Thank you, Vicki. Good afternoon and welcome to the second of 3 webinars that we're going to hold for the National Council delegates in preparation for our National Council session. We have 1 hour together today, and I want to make sure we use our time wisely, so we'll begin. The role of National Council delegates is a very important one. As outlined in the Blue Book of Basic Documents, Article 5 of the Constitution states, the National Council at its sessions shall hold elections, amend the Constitution, establish requirements for credentials, determine the general lines of policy of the Girl Scout movement and program by considering and acting upon proposals directed toward the fostering and improvement of Girl Scouting, by receiving and acting upon reports of its National Board of Directors, and, in this instance, by giving guidance to the National Board upon general lines of direction of the movement and program. So in putting this outdoor discussion on the National Council meeting agenda, our National Board is seeking guidance from the movement on the role of outdoors in the Girl Scout leadership experience. GSUSA began considering data about the benefits and importance of outdoor experiences for girls in 2012 when we launched the More Than S'mores research. As we consider how to make our program more responsive to the needs of girls, we've continued to look at external data and surveyed girls, volunteers, and councils around the outdoor experience in Girl Scouting. The National Board received several proposals regarding the important role that outdoor program plays in the Girl Scout leadership experience. And while no National Council action was required, we all felt it was an important topic to bring forward at this time. And now I'm going to ask Joan Wagnon, our National Treasurer and the moderator for our discussion today at the National Council session, to make some introductions and give us some background. Joan?
Thank you, Connie. Assisting today with our presentation about outdoors is Krista Kochjon-Paler. She's the new Chief Girl Experience Officer. Also, Vicki Wright, who is the Outdoor Initiative Lead, and Karen Siklas, who is the Senior Researcher at GSRI. I want you to be aware that this webinar is being recorded and can be listened to later, and today's PowerPoint presentation will be posted to the National Delegate website tomorrow. The More Than S'mores research that has been reported on later, and that will be reported later, has already been posted to the National Council Delegate website. As Connie explained, the purpose of the outdoor discussion is to seek input from the movement on direction for the role of the outdoors in Girl Scout leadership and experience. The National Board placed the outdoor discussion topic on the National Council session for the following reasons. As Connie said, there were several proposals submitted about the outdoors, so your voices have been heard, and the National Board is responding by scheduling time during our National Council session to discuss this matter. GSUSA research underscores the importance, the impact, and the competitive edge for Girl Scouting to consider a renewed national focus on the outdoors. Our discussion will also give the National Board a sense of the importance of outdoors being a national priority for the movement, and finally, we want to ensure that any national approach is headed in the right direction. As we begin to frame our conversation about outdoors, it is important that we have a clear definition of what we want to talk about. Our research points to the important benefits to girls of varied outdoor experiences, of which camping is only one dimension. So just to be clear, we're looking at the whole scope of outdoor activities. Could be anything from a walk in the city park, learning about nature, community and environmental projects, take action projects, camping overnight or longer, using outdoor education with a STEM focus. It could be canoeing or kayaking or hiking, all of the above, and many more things that we didn't even list. So our discussion in Salt Lake is going to be about giving girls the best experience in the outdoors and building on the Girl Scout leadership experience. So it's both of those. It's leadership and the outdoors. We know that there's been discussion and concern about properties and camps that have been rested or sold. This past spring, a property tax, that's my old background, sorry, property task group was appointed to look at the ways to maximize and use our program properties. This group is in the process of analyzing the data from the property survey, and they will be sharing that information with councils in the near future. So our outdoor conversation is a program conversation rather than a property conversation. We're seeking guidance from the movement around the role of the outdoors in Girl Scouting and how it can enhance the leadership experience. Our agenda today is to set this context, and also we'll be sharing external research about the importance of the outdoors. We're sharing the current state of outdoor program. We're sharing Girl Scout outdoor research, very specifically the recent More Than S'mores report. We're going to prepare you to lead discussions in your council and solicit feedback. And finally, we're going to answer your questions about how this process will work. So while you're listening to the information being presented, we want you to see these questions that we're going to be asking you to discuss with your council prior to coming to the National Council session. And you'll hear this set of 4 questions now, and you'll hear it again at the end. These questions are the ones that will guide our conversation. Number 1, what should our promise to girls be regarding outdoor experiences in the senior leadership experience? Number 2, girls tell us that they enjoy their Girl Scout experience more when they get outdoors regularly and in varied ways. So the question is, how can GSUSA and councils work together to provide outdoor experiences for our girl members? Third, what can Girl Scouts, both local and national, do to support and encourage volunteers and girls to incorporate outdoor experiences into their regular troop activities? And the fourth one, what support should GSUSA be providing councils to strengthen outdoor experiences within the Girl Scout leadership experience? Krista Koch-John-Paler will now share some of the significant external research about why exposure to the outdoors is so important to girls' growth and development.
Thank you so much, Joan. I am Krista Koch-John-Paler, Chief Girl Experience Officer here at GSUSA. Thank you for having me on the call. It's great to be introduced to you this way, and I'm looking forward to seeing everybody in Salt Lake City. I'm going to share some highlights of the external research around children and the outdoors in general. This is the broadest part of the presentation today. I will then pass it to Vicki Wright, who will share some highlights of outdoor activities that we have happening in Girl Scouts, and finally to Callan Sakalis to share recent results from a Girl Scout Research Institute study. So we as Girl Scouts already know the importance of getting children outside. So many of the findings from this external research may be familiar to you and may even seem obvious, but it's a great place to start from all together, even if we're reminding ourselves of why we and others care so passionately about this. I will be stating research from this list of sources, but instead of stating by source, I'll be summarizing them into themes, so we wanted everyone to have the full list of sources for your reference as you prepare for convention. We're going to start with the benefits of being outdoors. There is a growing body of research that links our mental, physical, and spiritual health directly to our association with nature. We know that getting outdoors leads to the development of physical capabilities, improved fitness, and decreased stress. This decreased stress component is more important for girls, actually, because we know from our Girl Scouts research that girls universally worry more about everything than boys. So I just wanted to point that out, how critically important that one is for girls. We know that spending time in nature, even just a walk in the park, has been shown to improve concentration and creative reasoning among children and adults. That getting kids outdoors sets the foundation for an active lifestyle. And one study tells us that students who experienced a week-long outdoor program had significant gains, including a 27% increase in mastery of science concepts, enhanced cooperation and conflict resolution skills, gains in self-esteem, positive environmental behavior, enhanced problem-solving skills, and increased motivation to learn, and improved classroom behavior. So while we know that it is ideal for children to spend a lot of time outside, in reality, it's not always possible, and it's not happening. Think about the girls in your council or troop, or even in your own families. This can be tough. The research tells us that 25% of children play outside daily as compared to nearly 75% a generation ago. And when they do play outdoors, they usually don't go far, and they are constantly watched. So they may be having a totally different experience than you or I did growing up. The average American child spends 4 to 7 minutes, that's minutes, in unstructured play per day, and more than 7 hours per day in front of an electronic screen. And finally, homework has been reported as the #1 obstacle to getting kids outside. We know there are other obstacles, and we need your help to identify these obstacles and to figure out ways to overcome them. Now, some general stats about childhood health in the United States. And I will note that we did not see research linking these stats to decrease in outdoor activity, but still wanted to share that childhood obesity rates have doubled in the last 20 years. Almost 20% of U.S. children ages 6 to 11 are now diagnosed as obese. And the U.S. has become the world's largest consumer of ADHD medications, and pediatric prescriptions for antidepressants have risen sharply. Well, we talked about that camp is just one of the ways that Girl Scouts helps get girls outside. I wanted to share this quote from Peg Smith, CEO of American Camp Association, because it's a very powerful statement about what we can accomplish through our quality camp experiences, in addition to the other things we've just talked about. Peg states that a quality camp experience provides our children and youth with the opportunity to learn powerful lessons in community, character building, skill development, and healthy living. Camp promotes community. It creates this great space that shows kids how to live together and care for one another. There are norms and negotiation of boundaries. There are rules. Camp is a place where everyone can practice stretching their social, emotional, physical, and cognitive muscles outside the context of their immediate family. I know I had a lot of lessons from camp. I'm sure others did too as we reflect on the phone. Finally, Girl Scouts changes girls' lives through outdoor experiences that are girl-only. These experiences are important for the following reasons. Research has shown that experiencing wilderness with other girls reframes their view of the outdoors as a feminine sphere rather than a place where only men or boys can lead the way. Girls in these all-girl programs are more free from gender stereotypes, and this leads to some key benefits. Think about some similar outcomes you've seen firsthand from your own Girl Scouts outdoor programs. Girls from our research talked about feelings of safety and comfort and an increased connection to others. One girl in the research mentioned, I liked being on a course with other girls because I felt more secure with them. When I say our research, I am still talking about the outside research that we have been studying. Girls in all-girl programs are more comfortable taking risks. Another girl reported, I think I felt more willing to try new things where I might fail. The all-girls environment reduces the stress of adolescence that comes from focusing on physical appearance and competition. When girls are in nature, they get dirty, they may wear the same clothes for 2 days, and this all allows them to relate to one another as equals. One girl mentioned, a lot of girls act different around boys. Finally, these girl-only experiences drive leadership outcomes. Girls in all-girl wilderness programs have been shown to gain strength, determination, and leadership skills. To sum up the external research, first, children need regular daily nature experiences. The benefits are enormous. Second, the amount of time children spend outdoors has decreased significantly in recent years. And finally, girls gain specific benefits by being outdoors in a girl-only environment. The research has shown that girls don't fully express their true selves in co-ed outdoor environments, and that girls are more likely to take risks and develop leadership in an all-girl environment. This is a core competency of ours at Girl Scouts, and we want to come together to think about how we can move beyond the barriers to getting outdoors so we can get more girls outdoors more often and in varied ways. So again, please be thinking about how this research relates to best practices and programs you've seen in your Girl Scout experience so we can have the most productive conversation at convention. And now, Vicki Wright will share some information about the current state of outdoors in Girl Scouts.
Thanks, Krista. The outdoor experience has been a core part of Girl Scouting since the beginning in 1912. National strategies and direction on outdoor program has varied over the years, with councils continually making sure that outdoor opportunities were made available to their girls. Currently, within every council, there's a plethora of outdoor activities happening in troops and in other pathways, as well as council-sponsored events, camps, and trips. In a recent short survey, and thank you to the 63 councils who responded in a matter of 2 weeks, we asked for some specific information about girls participating in council-sponsored activities. We do recognize that the numbers of girls participating in troop outdoor activities may be an even larger number, but we just don't have a way to track that right now. So we focused on council-sponsored activities that related to the outdoors. We had, as I said, we had 63 councils respond. So if we took that data and then estimated what it might be if it was 112 had all responded, and we came up with that girls are participating in our councils in council-sponsored outdoor activities, and this is primarily last year because we're still in the middle of a year this year. About 31% of our girls did some sort of council-sponsored activity, whether it was an event, a trip, a camp, whatever it happened to be. Troop camping on council property came in about 19%. Resident camp, or overnight camp, was about 5%, and day camps were 6%. So those numbers give you an idea about how many of our girls are participating in outdoor activities, again, council-sponsored. We also asked about how many volunteers in your council took any kind of outdoor training last year, and that's just a little under 5%. We also asked about subsidies. How much are councils subsidizing the cost of day camp, resident camp, and troop camping on council properties? And it ranges from 39% on resident camp up to 51% on troop camping on council property. And that number probably, there's a little bit of a correlation there about camps being heavily used on weekends and not so much during the week. We also, in another survey that the GSRI folks did with girls and volunteers in May and June, after the More Than S'mores research was put out, we asked questions about barriers to getting outside. There were some similar responses from girls and adults around finding time in their troop to do outdoor activities and perhaps the expense of some of the outdoor activities. But girls identified some other things. They also commented that not every girl in the troop was interested in doing outdoor activities. They really didn't know what all the options were to them, what was available to them. And brownies, who were asked some different questions, but they responded that they weren't real sure their troop leaders enjoyed the outdoors if they could do that. Volunteers told us that one of their biggest barriers was complying with Girl Scout rules and paperwork, and I think we've probably all heard some of that before, and transportation issues, and I think that's probably a common response over a lot of things, trying to find enough parents to drive or getting the girls to activities. So as you have your discussions in your councils, it's going to be important to think about what can be done to eliminate some of these barriers. So think about that as going forward. So now I'd like to turn the microphone over to Callan, who's going to share some of the More Than S'mores research information with you. And we know we want to recognize that we're giving you a lot of information, but again, I'll tell you, Joan told you, you will have this PowerPoint. You will be able to kind of delve into this information after the webinar. So Callan.
Thank you, Vicki, and good afternoon, everyone. In helping you to think about the core questions that were presented earlier in the webinar, we wanted to share some findings from recent studies about girls in the outdoors and Girl Scouting that were conducted by the Girl Scout Research Institute. So for the most part, in my part of the presentation, I'll be highlighting results from More Than S'mores, which was our 2012 study that included about 3,000 juniors and cadets from 15 different councils nationwide. I'll also be sharing some data from more recent outdoor discovery research that was conducted last month with Brownie through Ambassador Girl Scouts and adults. Vicki mentioned this in one of her slides. And just over 2,000 girls from 17 councils participated in this research. So I'm going to present findings as they relate to 4 questions you might have. One, paralleling Krista's structure, why do we care about girls getting outside in Girl Scouts? How and how much are girls getting outside in Girl Scouts? How much do girls enjoy their outdoor experiences in Girl Scouts? And what's special about camp and camping? So to start, why do we care about girls getting outdoors in Girl Scouts? As Krista mentioned, external research provides many reasons why it's good for girls and youth in general to get outdoors. Our research adds a little more nuance to why getting outdoors in Girl Scouts is important. This nuance is related to leadership, customer satisfaction, our organizational strengths, particularly around environmental stewardship, and also how girls themselves, how Girl Scouts themselves say they benefit from the outdoors. With regard to leadership, in the More Than S'mores study, we measured girls' progress on Girl Scout leadership experience outcomes, 4 specific Girl Scout leadership experience outcomes. So these were developing a strong sense of self, seeking challenge, building cooperation and team building, and resourceful problem solving. And we looked at how girls' outdoor experiences related to their progress on these leadership outcomes. We found that girls who participated in a variety of outdoor activities in Girl Scouts, and at least one on a monthly basis, were stronger challenge seekers and problem solvers. They also themselves reported greater impact from Girl Scouts. Now, we characterized girls by the amount, the frequency and variety of outdoor activity they participated in, and we found that girls did not gain the same benefits from dabbling. That was just doing a bunch of different activities, but nothing on a regular basis. So, so really this monthly engagement in a specific activity, as well as exploring a variety of activities, was important to realizing the leadership benefits. We also found that the effects of monthly outdoor exposure were even more pronounced for less advantaged girls, less economically advantaged girls. We measured in this survey, we also measured girl satisfaction, and we found that girl satisfaction increased with more outdoor exposure in Girl Scouts. So as you'll notice in this graph, girls with varied and monthly outdoor exposure reported the greatest enjoyment. 68% of them agreed a lot that they enjoyed participating in Girl Scouts during the year, as compared to, for example, 50% of girls who had low outdoor exposure in Girl Scouts during the year. The girls who had regular outdoor exposure were also more likely to say that they would recommend Girl Scouting to their friends. Not only does spending more time outdoors in Girl Scouts support girls' leadership and satisfaction, but it also helps girls connect with and care for the environment. So in the More Than S'mores research, we used 7 different items or questions to measure environmental stewardship. These were derived from a large body of external research on the topic of environmental stewardship. And 3 of the questions we borrowed directly from the Nature Conservancy. They had conducted in 2011, they conducted a national youth poll, and we spoke with them, we borrowed their items, so we could compare responses from Girl Scouts with responses from girls at large in the United States. And to our delight, we found that Girl Scouts reported much higher environmental stewardship than girls at large in the country. For example, 45% of Girl Scouts compared to 23% of girls nationally strongly agreed that they always take actions to protect the environment, like recycling and using less water or electricity. Finally, in terms of why we care about girls getting outdoors and Girl Scouts, we asked Girl Scouts about what they perceive the benefits of being outdoors to be for themselves. And we also asked the question of adults. So on this slide, we asked adults what they perceive the benefits for themselves, but we also asked them what they perceive the benefits for girls. So the data you see listed here is the top benefits they saw for girls, not for themselves. And basically, both girls and adults ranked what were the most important benefits of being outdoors to them. And both felt that being active and learning outdoor skills were important benefits of the outdoor exposure. For girls, exploring and connecting with nature was also very important and far more important than adults recognized. That didn't come up among the top 5 benefits as reported by adults. For girls, gaining confidence in their abilities was actually less important to them than it was than the adults thought it would be. So the adults thought that was a more important benefit than the girls reported. Now that we know the benefits of outdoor time in Girl Scouts for girls, you may wonder, well, how much are girls actually getting outdoors in Girl Scouting? And again, we were very pleasantly surprised in the More Than S'mores research that nearly all girls, 97%, had participated in at least one outdoor activity during the year in Girl Scouts. However, only about 40% participated in monthly and varied outdoor experiences. So we know that that's the most effective kind of outdoor experience in terms of leadership and satisfaction. About 40% of our girls had had a monthly experience, and they experienced at least 4 different types of outdoor activities in Girl Scouting during the year. The outdoor activities that girls were most likely to do on a monthly basis in Girl Scouting were playing outdoors, volunteering for causes related to the environment, swimming outdoors, taking field trips to outdoor places, and outdoor cooking. One of the questions, so in the More Than S'mores research, we collaborated with 15 councils, and the councils were involved in all aspects of the research, including designing the logic model and also designing the survey instruments. And one of the questions our council partners asked going into the study was about girls' enjoyment of the outdoors. Some of them, as some of you may have, the idea that girls might be opting out of Girl Scout outdoor programming because they don't enjoy the outdoors. And so that was one of the hypotheses we had going into this research. And we did not find this to be the case. We were actually, everyone was very much surprised at this. We found that girls really enjoyed their outdoor experiences in Girl Scouting. So regardless of the amount of outdoor exposure they had, they enjoyed the outdoor experiences they were having. And Hispanic girls gave even higher enjoyment rating for outdoor activities than non-Hispanic girls. This finding from More Than S'mores mirrors to some extent what Vicki shared about barriers from the more recent research. In the more recent research, we asked girls about a whole list of barriers, and not enjoying the outdoors was one of those barriers, and very few girls indicated that that was a barrier to participation in outdoor programming in Girl Scouts. In both the 2012 and 2014 surveys, we also asked about how enjoyable or how appealing specific outdoor activities were to girls. And you can see from this slide the types of activities that are highly enjoyable or highly appealing. So, for example, we saw that older Girl Scouts tended to find high adventure activities more appealing, whereas younger Girl Scouts preferred more casual outdoor activities. Finally, all of our council partners on these research studies were interested in what was special about camp and camping. And what we found was that camping is girls' #1 most memorable activity in Girl Scouts, outdoor activity in Girl Scouts. So 80% of girls who had been camping said that it was a most memorable activity. They got to select the top 3 most memorable activities, and 80% selected camping. It came out as ranked as #1 most memorable. We also found that camp attendance increases girls' outdoor exposure. So 48% of girls who attended both resident and troop camp reported having those kind of monthly varied outdoor experiences. So that's 48. About half of the girls who attended troop camp and resident camp had those, compared with about 1/3 of the girls who only attended troop camp and 25% who attended no camp at all. So definitely, if they're attending camp, they're likely to get that most effective type of outdoor experience. And finally, we found that attending resident camp multiple times played a strong role in girls' environmental stewardship and challenge seeking. So they were much stronger in those outcomes if they had attended resident camp multiple times. Thank you, and I will pass it on to Joan.
Thank you. That was wonderful to have all that information. And Krista and Callan and Vicki, we really appreciate what you've provided for us here. Now, for all of those on the phone, we know that this is a huge amount of information, but we wanted to be sure that we created a clear context for the conversation so that we were better prepared for a more productive discussion. I would remind you that you will be able to get a copy of this presentation available on the Delegate website after the webinar. So, in preparing for the outdoor discussion at the National Council session in Salt Lake, we're asking you, the delegates, to familiarize yourself with the data, share presentation information with your council members, solicit feedback from the council members using these questions that we're going to go through, and then as a team member, coordinate preparation for the National Council session discussions. And then finally, share input with Vicki Wright. She's our outdoor initiative lead, and prior to the convention, we would like for you to send her a written report, and we'll give you a report format within the next few weeks. So here's your role. Familiarize yourself with the data, share the presentation, solicit feedback, coordinate preparation, and share with Vicki. So let's go over one more time these 4 questions. I've been through a number of these sessions in my local council where we would have study questions and get ready to go to the convention. So this is what we're asking you to do, is to look at these 4 questions. The first one, what should be our promise to the girls regarding outdoor experiences in the leadership experience? And secondly, how can GSUSA and councils work together to provide that outdoor experience? Third, what can Girl Scouts, both local and national, do to support and encourage volunteers and girls to incorporate outdoor experience into their regular activities? Fourth, what support should GSUSA be providing councils to strengthen the outdoor experiences within the Girl Scout leadership experience? Now, we still have a little bit of time, and before we open up the lines for questions, I have a little bit of information about our Q&A format right now. We will have this actual discussion on those questions in the convention session in Salt Lake City. So today, we're not going to get into the weeds on this. We're just going to entertain questions about the content of the research, anything about the information that was presented, and your questions about how best to share and conduct those discussions in your councils prior to the National Council session. Questions that, for example, you stumped the group and we can't answer today, we'll summarize and post that on the Delegate website. And if you haven't already started typing in your questions, please type your questions and comments now. So I think we're ready to start with these questions, and I'm waiting for them to come up on my screen. One question was, how many councils responded? And I think, Dolores, the answer was 63.
Okay.
Okay, Vicki, are the questions coming up now?
Giselle's going to read some of them so we can respond. Okay, so the first question is, how will the discussion be facilitated in Salt Lake? Structured in small groups, larger groups?
I'm going to be the moderator. This is Joan for that, and we've been kicking around some ideas about what would be the best possible way to do it. Given the number of councils that we have, I'd be interested in knowing how you would react if we said, please have your conversations ahead of time and come prepared with one representative from each council prepared to speak to these questions, so that we don't have pile-ups at the microphone with one council and 3 or 4 spokespeople from that council. But we're open to your suggestions, and this would be something you may want to write in and tell us what you think would work. We do not plan on having small groups at this point. It'll be a plenary session.
The next question is there an actual proposal on the table at session regarding outdoor experiences?
No. The executive committee reviewed the proposals that were submitted and decided that we would be better served by trying to pose some questions, put forward some information, and then have you all give us some feedback. Ultimately, the responsibility for implementing this program will fall with staff. So this is it's a discussion, and there is not a specific proposal, but all ideas are welcome.
In the research conducted, were only current Girl Scouts consulted, or were girls outside Girl Scouting consulted too?
So,
Callan?
Yeah. So in the research we presented here, the More Than S'mores research and the Outdoor Discovery research, that was focused on girls who are currently involved in Girl Scouting. However, we did some additional research this summer. We worked with an external consultant to do some qualitative research, focus groups primarily, with both girls and girls who are and who are not Girl Scouts. And some of those findings concurred with what we saw in this presentation. Certainly the findings about the appeal of higher adventure activities, for example, for older girls, was something that was consistent with that data for non-Girl Scouts. And then some we are not quite sure how they match up.
The next question is on the research. Were these councils in all parts of the U.S.?
Yes, absolutely. So we made a very intentional effort to be geographically representative in both the More Than S'mores research and the Outdoor Discovery research. I think we had, in More Than S'mores, we had 7 of the 9 regions represented, and I think in the Discovery research, we had 8 or 9 of the 9 regions represented.
Next question. Do organized sports count as one of the outdoor activities?
So we actually, in both More Than S'mores and the Outdoor Discovery research, we presented girls with a list of activities, and sports, we had sports on the list. so we distinguished that from outdoor play. So outdoor play was like tag, building fairy houses, rolling down hills, spinning around to get dizzy and fall down. And outdoor sports were volleyball and soccer and things like that. And so we did find that the appeal was greater for outdoor play than for outdoor sports. So that was an interesting finding from the research.
I would call your attention to the fact that at the beginning of this, we talked about what was the scope of the definition of outdoor activities, and we were saying that we were looking at the full scope of outdoor activities, and then there was a list. So I think you could have a lot of different things in there, including organized sports. Go ahead.
Next question. What is the most effective way to get input from members? A town hall meeting, a survey?
All of those work. My personal experience working in a council is that if we can get groups of people gathered already where they are and ask them questions like in our troop service meeting areas, and then hold at the end of that process when you've gone to places where there are already organized meetings and led the discussion, then bring people together on a council level so that they can respond and then try to write it up and send it to Vicki so we'll have it. And I'm sure there's any number of ways to do it, but the more people can discuss, the better response you'll get.
Councils recognize the importance of outdoor activities. What does research tell us about why attendance has decreased and how to make the outdoor experience more appealing for today and future girls? You noted some barriers, but are those significant to attendance trends?
Kelly?
You know, that was one of the questions that our council partners came to us with in More Than S'mores. And so one of the hypotheses, as I mentioned, was that, you know, the girls don't enjoy and therefore they're not registering. We actually, which we didn't confirm, and we didn't confirm that they didn't enjoy them. We don't know why they're not registering. We did not have the proper data in our surveys to answer that question. I don't know, Vicki, if you have more thoughts, insights on.
Yeah, I think we'll be interested to hear what councils have to say, because I think there's probably a lot of factors in there. I think there's factors around parents and what they allow their children to do and how close they want to keep their parents. That may be having an effect on it. There may be a challenge. I think one of the barriers was around expense, that things cost a lot of money sometimes, and so there's a barrier there. There's probably some ties to membership and how many girls we have and what percentage of girls go to camp. So I think there's probably a whole lot of different factors that kind of play into this, and I think that would be good fodder for conversation as you're having discussions in your council.
What is
Another question?
What is it that the delegates are trying to do specifically in relationship to the outdoors? At the National Council, is there an actual vote being held as it relates to outdoors?
No. And let me explain a little bit about that process, and Vicki, if you want to jump in on it, that'll be fine too. We have a policy formulating process that we've had for years in Girl Scouts, where we ask our delegates to consider and discuss proposals. In this instance, we are asking not for you to respond to a specific proposal, but to discuss these 4 questions, formulate some kind of a response based on what your council delegates believe, and bring that information to the discussion at the convention. So we are soliciting feedback on those questions. We are asking you as delegates to coordinate your preparation for that session. Make sure that you bring your delegates together. Make sure you've had opportunities in your council to have a conversation about this. And we are asking you, in addition to soliciting feedback and coordinating that be sure that you are up to speed on what this research says. If you need to summarize and make information available to your delegates, that would be an appropriate goal. And then finally, whatever you come up with, be sure and send us a written response. Vicki, do you have more to add?
Joan, I think you're absolutely right, but I think probably the simplest way to say this is we're looking to get a sense of the delegate body for the movement of what direction we should be going in the area of outdoor programs. How strong of an emphasis do we want to have around outdoors as part of the Girl Scout Leadership Experience? So that's kind of the bottom line of what we're trying to figure out.
As well, and this is Krista, I would say, as well as from your personal experience of some of the challenges getting girls outdoors, how do we surmount those so that we can get more girls outdoors on a more regular basis, as they're telling us from both the leadership outcomes as well as their satisfaction, that that's the most important thing to them, monthly and varied. There's some obstacles to that. How do we surmount them?
Next question, where is the More Than S'mores information? I looked on the Delegate website and could not find it. The More Than S'mores information, the research is in 2 locations. First, it's on our Girl Scout corporate page under the research section. And on the Delegate website, if you look under the tab that says Delegate Webinars, there's a tab that says July 6th, there's a line that says July 16th. A link to the research was there as well. Next question. Can you repeat the meaning of what should our promise to girls be regarding outdoor experiences in the GSLE?
The question,
like parasite?
the question.
Who would like to?
I'll try it, Joan. This is Vicki. The question is, what should be our promise to girls regarding outdoor experiences in the Girl Scout Leadership Experience? Another way to look at that would be, what should a girl or a parent expect their daughter to get related to outdoors by being in Girl Scouting?
In the research, was there a distinction made between older girls and younger girls?
Yeah. So certainly in the outdoor discovery research that we conducted last month, we had a separate survey for brownies, and then juniors and ambassadors were surveyed with the same questions, but we did analyze the data looking at elementary, middle school, and high school girls, and we did see differences across the spectrum. So, for example, one really prominent difference was that younger girls, both juniors and cadets, said that the top benefit of being outdoors to them was being active. They wanted to run around, they wanted to be noisy, they wanted to, getting dirty was part of our parenthetical about being active. And so more than 50% of the younger girls indicated that was the number, the first, second, or third, number 1, 2, or 3 ranked benefit of being outdoors for them. For older girls, that was very different. So the seniors and ambassadors, that was only 30% of girls said that. It wasn't even in the top 5. More important to them were building skills, being in nature, and actually resting and relaxing was more important to the older girls. So but there were several differences, age-related differences in girls' responses to that survey.
What is the cutoff date that you would like to see feedback from delegates?
Could you repeat that question?
Sure. What is the cutoff date you would like to see feedback from delegates?
Joan, I'll take that one if you'd like.
Yeah.
Since the feedback will be coming to me, I will be sending out something to councils in the next couple of weeks with a format of how you might submit some information to us. And the deadline for that is going to be fairly close to the convention, so that, because I know if you're having town hall meetings or you're having conversations with your members at service unit meetings or regional meetings, those are going to happen probably in September and even the week before you come. So probably not before the very end of September at the earliest.
Are we to discuss this info with our volunteers or other delegates from our area? I am the only delegate for our area.
I think by all means discuss it with whomever you think can provide you with some good information. We are asking delegates to take the lead to start those conversations and also to confer with other delegates. But you have a circle of a network within your region, and by all means talk to folks. What we're looking for is a sense of where we need to go, and being able to distill that from all across the country with so many age levels and different cultural things in different communities, it's going to be a big task to do. So the more information we get, then we can get it ahead of time and try to find common areas that we can synthesize, the better able we'll be able to run this discussion section at the convention.
Next question. Were extracurricular activities an obstacle to outdoor Girl Scouting?
That's a very interesting question. And actually, we do have data on that. We asked girls, certainly in More Than S'mores, what other extracurricular activities they participated in. And we have, I don't know that we've done that analysis, but it is something I think we can address with our data. So if it's important to do that analysis, we can certainly do it.
Okay.
Well, it sounds like we might ought to try to get the answer to that question.
Mm-hmm.
We'll work on that.
Okay. Next question, please.
Once we have solicited and gathered feedback on the questions, how should we contact Vicki?
And that's what I'm sending. Yes, and that's what I'll be sending to councils in the next couple of weeks. I've been trying to figure out what the easiest, simplest way is. So you'll receive directions, information about that. I'll be sending it directly to council CEOs to share, and we'll also be posting it on the delegate website.
Does each delegate respond to the questionnaire, or is it one response from the entire council? We would like to have responses combined. That's why we want you as delegates to take the lead, to get out there, have some conversation amongst yourselves, and try to have a synthesize some of the information so it's fairly concise. What would be the best way for us, the girl delegates, to hold a discussion within our council on the outdoors before the convention?
Well, I've answered that a couple of times. Do one of the others of you want to take that on?
I would, I think we can be a little bit creative. I would say, particularly girl delegates in your local community or your service unit or your area, have conversations with girls. Perhaps host a conference call with girls throughout the council to do that. I will tell you that the girls who will be attending the Girl Scout Leadership Institute will be having some of their own conversations about this and reporting to the national delegate body about what the girls think about some of this. So I think just kind of be a little bit creative and take advantage of any girl events that are taking place for older girls in the next couple of months. Maybe there's a little bit of time that could be allocated to getting some feedback.
Have we run out of questions?
We have one more. Will the discussions reported to GSUSA be communicated to individual councils following national convention?
John,
I feel, okay.
We are going to do our best to be able to share all of the input or a summary of information that's shared with us from councils. We will be recording conversation that happens at the National Council session and then reporting that back out to folks. So we want to be as transparent as possible so that people really see what the movement is saying about this issue. And if anybody has any suggestions on what would be a really good way to do that, please send me an email.
I suspect that the National Board, its committees, its staff will have a variety of conversation that will be intense and very spend a lot of time trying to understand the data that we're coming up with through this process. And so I don't know that you can expect that you're going to get a quick summary. I think what you will find is that the National Board, in approving this topic, is very serious about finding out what level of priority outdoors programming is for our Girl Scout members. And that discussion will probably filter through many different areas. So I can guarantee you that this is being seen as an important discussion and one that will have far-reaching impact. So we're asking you to do a lot of work, and we're asking you to summarize it, talk to people, and bring it back in. And I want to assure you that this is being taken very seriously, and it will have an impact. It just may not be a real quick turnaround.
Thanks, Joan. Joan, we have time for one more question.
Was part of the research how many volunteers are available or willing to lead outdoor activities for girls?
In our recent study, so we had about 800 volunteers from 17 councils respond to this survey in June or May. We asked them about their interest in doing activities with their girls. So they got a list of specific activities. We asked them about their interest, their confidence, whether they'd like additional training. I don't know that we specifically asked them if they wanted to lead outdoor activities. We asked them, and so the question was worded like in terms of their interest in doing the activity with their girls. We can share data on that, but again, it wasn't specifically about leading. It was about doing activities. I don't know.
And this is Krista. We definitely noted this as an obstacle for getting girls outside. So that in terms of what volunteers are asking for, in terms of resources that help them, the first thing they ask for is somebody else to get them outdoors, actually. So this is absolutely an obstacle. I think that's as much as we can tell you right now. And I know we're about to try to wrap up this hour-long phone call with you.
Okay, Joan?
Well, and I will indeed wrap it up because our time has come to an end. Let me remind you that the PowerPoint that you had today will be posted on the National Convention Delegate website this week, and it will have talking points so that you can use them in council town halls or small group gatherings or wherever. And the More Than Full S'mores research has already been posted. There will also be a link to the recording of this webinar that will be on the Delegate website. And I would like to thank you all for your participation today. I thought we had good questions and good answers. If you think we're not asking the right questions, I would be interested in knowing that as well. And our forum for questions will begin tomorrow on the National Council Delegate website. Any further questions, please direct those to Vicki Wright, Outdoor Initiative Lead, and that's vwright@girlscouts.org. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to our president, Connie.
Thanks so much, Joan, and thanks to all of you for participating on the call. As you've heard, we do consider this to be a very, very important item for all of us and for our movement. So I want to thank you for your participation. Thanks to our GSUSA team and, of course, our National Treasurer, Joan Wagner. And we're going to keep the conversation going. Our next webinar will be held on September 9th at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, 3 p.m. Central Time, 2 p.m. Mountain Time, and 1 p.m. Pacific Time. And the registration procedures are posted on the National Council Delegate website. Thank you all again so much, and have a pleasant afternoon.